Shout out, shout out, the Connects, Luis Guzman. Don't ever go, never leave my side. Passion's all I have, courage is my drive. And if I lost you, I would lose it all together. I wouldn't have composure.
Welcome to I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast, where we highlight the journey of entrepreneurs and business people alike to showcase that every light and dark moment create a beautiful piece of art. This is episode 26. I am your host, Luis Guzman. My guest today is a world-renowned top 5 New Jersey Michelin-Star executive chef with over 20 years in the culinary world. An honorary James Beard member and a graduate from the French Culinary Institute, his influence and passion is showcased in his vision for taste, creativity, and exceptional financial management for every establishment he has blessed with his craft. His talents have been showcased on Fox 5 Good Day New York, NBC Today, The Star Ledger, and The New York Times. He was the executive chef for the New York Jets Christmas Gala and golf outing, and has worked at many top 5-star restaurants in NYC and beyond. A savant in dish creation and a true artist that provides his love for his craft every day as the executive chef for 87 Sussex in Jersey City, New Jersey. Brian Walter, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you very much, man.
Thank
what an
you,
intro.
man. Hey,
that's
listen,
what I'm talking about. I want that everywhere I go. Every time I enter a room, I want everybody to say that.
Greatness comes with a resume in this case, and you, my friend, are a savant in this world, man. So I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and join us here on my platform and kind of share your journey with us, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. It's been a blast for sure.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear all the stories, man.
Yeah.
So, Brian, I always start every podcast with the same question, and I pose this to you. Who is Brian Walter?
Wow, I'd say mine's pretty simple, actually. I'm a chef. I'm not just saying that because this is the show about me being a chef. It's
right.
All I've ever wanted to be. There's some sidelines to that. I also wanted a family. I got, by the grace of God, I got a family. And I get to be a chef every day of my life. From when I was a dishwasher, this is what I wanted to do. And I got to be an executive chef when I was 24.
Awesome.
I started really young, but and then it's 20 years of getting better at it. None of us are ever going to be the best chef in the world in our own minds. We all have a chef, that we think about all the time. Like, how did he tell us to do this, or how did he tell us to go this way?
Absolutely,
so it's
man.
important.
It's always a practice, right? I mean, anything that includes having greatness attached to it is going to come with repetition. It's going to come with, 1,000 hours, making it work, understanding it. So, before we even get to how you earned your 1,000 hours or 20,000 hours of experience, take me back to a young Brian. What cultivated the passion for culinary arts?
Great. Yeah. No, that's wonderful. It's a great place to start. But also you actually said something very important.
Please.
It's about the hours, but it's also about because what I do is a trade. We know that it's a trade. The Food Network has glorified it a bit, which is great. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. But certainly, when I was, as we're going to go back to, 96 or something, I'm 16 years old. Certainly there was no Food Network, or there was no, celebrity chefs existed for sure, but they were chefs that cooked for celebrities, not, They weren't celebrities.
They weren't out in the open.
Yeah, maybe there was Julia Child, or something like that. This is even pre-Emerald. I think Emerald.
Oh, wow, Emerald. Yeah, I remember. Bam!
100%. And or maybe he started when I was like 15, 16. But anyways, to answer your question, starting my journey. So I grew up in Scotch Plains.
Nice.
Scotch Plains is a very ancestral town, I guess it is. It's like my dad went there, my kids went to the high school. My grandfather would, if they had a high school. Generational
type
I love
of town.
My town, so much, But anyway, so there's a bunch of country clubs near where we lived, and one's Plainfield Country Club. So we're looking to, and one was Shakamaxon Golf and Country Club.
Yep.
And I got an opportunity to wash dishes at those places, for like summer money. And I was happy to do it. Once I figured I could, I realized I could mow lawns or now wash dishes. Like,
I'm washing dishes, man.
I
want to be in the kitchen.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. So that was a blast. And then I remember at Plainfield, I I'd met this chef, John Rella. He's the executive chef of the New York Yacht Club right now. In Manhattan.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, he's an awesome chef. And he had just come from Les Pinas, which is in the St. Regis Hotel, and worked for one of our, every chef, has a place in their heart for a chef named Gray Coons. He just passed.
Oh, man.
He was his number 2.
Really?
He was the executive chef at Plainfield Country Club. And he let me, put a knife in my hand and said, you can do more than be a dishwasher. And really, the simple story is he asked me one day, well, what do you want to do when you grow up or get out of high school? And I said, I want to be like them, chef. And I pointed at the other chefs, and he's like, no, you don't. And I didn't understand what he meant. He's like, you got to get to New York because you can only do it when you're young. The amount of abuse and
that you have to go through,
you can't do it when you get older. And there's there's some boundaries where you don't have can't have anybody cross, but. You have high tolerance for pain when you're a little bit younger.
Absolutely, man. That's where you earn you cut your teeth when you're 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
You got the energy, you got the drive, you got the strength.
Yeah.
So and you're learning because your brain is malleable at that age. You're constantly learning different things. Your brain is adapting. It's everything has like a touch to it. Oh, I didn't know I can do this. Oh, but this can expand to this. So you're so creative.
Yeah.
At that age, you know what I mean?
And in a trade, I have to assume most trades or any trades, as you practice, you can notice you're getting better.
Absolutely.
You start doing it better. So there is that sense of accomplishment. Wow, I sharpened a knife and it actually got sharp. And
exactly.
I did it properly like the chef asked me to do. So there's little goals that you keep accomplishing during the beginning of your journey all the way till now.
Wow.
So I'm assuming like any trade,
absolutely.
You get to be a master at it,
any trade, any practice, like we said earlier, it's the 1,000 hours, the 20,000 hours. It's throwing stuff at the wall. What's going to stick? Making mistakes, learning from them, getting better. That's just the whole. It's the way the world goes round, right?
Yeah.
So you start off as a dishwasher. This executive chef takes you under the wing.
Takes me under his wing, and he says you got to get to New York. You got to start as soon as you can, and then we got to start looking at schools if you want to do this. If you want to do this, I'm only going to guide you the right way. And he's to this day still my chef.
Wow.
And there's an old thing that we talk about, the brigade system.
What is that? The brigade system.
The brigade system is there's only a few rules in the brigade system. Number one, it's a triangle, so there's always a chef above a chef.
Got it.
So you're when you start at the commis or dishwasher, you're at the very bottom, and you go up as you.
It's like the military.
As you rise. It's very much so. Well,
wow.
Yes, chef, yes, sir. It's a great place for discipline as well. So but there's 2 rules. One is you always respect your chef. Every chef needs a chef. And for example, that means like an owner can't make you a chef. He can call you a chef. We can't make you a chef.
Can't make you a chef, yeah.
Money can't make you a chef. A chef makes a chef, right? So you have to respect that you have somebody above you at all times,
No matter how big you get.
Yeah, if my chef walks into my kitchen, the chef I trained under, I'm referring to him as chef.
Gotcha.
For sure.
So even though it's your kitchen, he walks in, you're no longer the head chef.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Well, in the business aspect, you are, but
exactly.
respect aspect.
Respect aspect, 100%.
Totally get it.
The second rule is, which is very important, is once you become an executive chef, it's your job now to make chefs. So it's like that give and take, and that's what makes
pass the baton.
Chefs. Yeah, exactly. Pass the baton, 100%.
Like that.
And it's that's why it's such a tight knit community.
I like that. I see a lot of selflessness off the bat already with the grassroots of the chef world. Like,
oh yeah,
you guys obviously you want to have the greatest dishes, you want to have the best kitchen, etc. But you want to lean on each other and be a community, be a brotherhood, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
To help each other get to the next level and to the next rung. And that discipline and respect that's instilled in the practice, I mean, that's kind of like the glue that keeps it together.
Yeah.
Because without that, everything falls apart.
100%.
So it's a really, wow, I never knew that. I mean, I'm learning, I'm naive to this. So I'm curious.
A lot of people are, because when you see the, once again, the networks and the shows and the things like this, there's a lot of show business,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the simplest is to look at like a true chef brigade picture, or when you first Google it. It's typically the triangle. I have this great picture of me at the French embassy as a teenager, and there's this triangle. It's this chef Paul Bocuse, right? He's this, he passed as well, but he was just like maybe the chef of all chefs, right?
So he was like the greatest of all time, the GOAT?
Certainly in my lifetime. You could argue Escoffier and other chefs, but certainly Paul Bocuse is the man, right?
Gotcha.
Insane amount of Michelin stars, and he's the chef that you'd see with the gigantic chef hat.
Yes.
He's the one who
Gotcha.
kept that going for quite a while. But in that picture, you see him and like chefs like Daniel Boulud and Jacques Torres is there, and just a bunch of really famous chefs, right? Even Paul Perdone's in the picture, right?
Okay.
You know, from Paul Perdone Spices.
Yeah.
And then you go all the way to the bottom, and there's me. But I'm all
Hey,
the
man,
way.
you're in the triangle, brother. Hey,
I was just happy
that's
to be
it.
in
You're
the
happy to be in the picture,
but
man.
you can clearly see the
There's
brigade
a
in that
hierarchy.
picture.
There's the hierarchy.
Wow, yeah.
Gotcha,
And
man.
I was actually next to the consulate, next to the ambassador. So
Oh,
it just
wow.
shows how he was all the way at the bottom as well.
Holy cow, man. Yeah, so it's
'Cause
his,
those were- yeah.
man, it's like the House of Senate. It's like
We
there's
highly
so many-
regard our chefs, so certainly.
And I think that's a beautiful thing where there's, you know, in anything that's, I want to say competitive, there's always a level of competitiveness attached to it. But I think from what I'm hearing with chefs is that there's also a huge amount of love that's attached to it.
Yeah.
Because you guys are kind of in the foxhole together.
The foxhole.
You know, you're making it happen. You're pumping out these dishes. You're managing, you know, B&G costs. You're managing employees, staff, the owner, you know, the clients that are here eating. There's so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many things that could be controlled but can't be controlled. Does that make sense?
Controlled chaos.
Yeah, control.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me about you going to the Culinary Institute and learning about controlled chaos, learning about the first steps of actually taking that leap to being a chef.
All right. Well, it reverts back a little bit to the chef who we had just talked about, you know, John Rella, who had said, you know, you got to get to New York. He gave me a lot of training before I got to New York. You know, once again with the whole yes chef,
Yes.
make sure you know your knives are sharp, your head down, knife sharp.
Baseline training, just like ABCs.
Yeah, head down, knife sharp.
Head down, knife sharp
means you know have that respect to your chef and your colleagues. He also gave me the down low about how competitive it is, especially at my level. When at that time there was only 4 4-star restaurants.
Wow,
and Michelin was 20 years, not even down the road. You know,
right.
Michelin's a relatively new thing when it comes to the food world in New York, in Manhattan. But so when I got to the school, I already had that, you know, just say yes, chef. If you don't even know, say yes, chef, and you know, do exactly what they say.
Gotcha.
Once again, it is a trade. You know, they need you right now from your neck down. You know,
got it.
We'll incorporate your
work
brain
on
later.
that. Yeah.
We'll
Gotcha.
work on
Just
the brain part.
Head down,
right?
busy beaver.
Yeah, busy beaver, and say yes, chef. So I kind of had that down. I went to French Culinary Institute, so it was a French school. And it had the best chefs from New York already there.
Wow.
So like Jacques Pepin, for example, Jacques Torres is the pastry guy, Alain Sayak, Andre Saltner, like, you know, all these guys that are like, you know, I wasn't a real, necessarily a sports fan. Like these were my baseball cards. Like these were the chefs that I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm
so
in the
you're
same
in the room with these guys.
as these guys, you know. And their histories and all that was, once again, the internet was just a new thing. So you actually had to read their books and, you know,
understand. Yeah, like really be real fans. And to put in perspective, you say baseball. So we're talking like the Aaron Judges, the Mark McGuires, the, you know.
I'd even say like the Mickey Mantles.
Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, those were the heaviest guys. Like,
okay, so we're talking real big heavy at this time. Okay, got it.
Got it. Even like the when I just mentioned Paul Bocuse, like, wow, like I got to be in a room with him, you know, multiple times because of these awesome chefs that I had was blessed to work on.
That's so awesome.
And that all came from French Culinary, and I owe a lot to French Culinary Institute for sure. But it's also great because right inside Manhattan. So when you wanted to do internships, we do a thing called
Walk away.
Which it's so easy. Yeah, they're everywhere. You know, every restaurant, and everybody's looking for
free help,
for free labor for sure. And that's called like you either do a stage, which is like a day of working for free, or you become a commis, which is like just bottom of the line. Either way, you're making nothing or minimum wage to work under these great chefs.
But the amount of education and training you're getting, it's priceless.
Oh, it's priceless.
It's priceless.
Like being able, like, you know, having guitar lessons from whatever, you know, going to sit with Led Zeppelin and hang out with them. Like this is the
experience.
The experience. And it was such a cool time in New York too, because it was like right when the Food Network was coming on board, which really took it introduced a lot of people to become foodies and things like this, which, you know, there's good and bad with that. But certainly it brought chefs into a new light. into
Gotcha.
almost like a mysterious world, you know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, and then I realized how much competition was out there during that time, and I needed to work at as many places as I could for the best chefs. And because I had these massive chefs in my corner from going to French Culinary Institute, I really had the pick of wherever.
I love it.
You know, maybe they wouldn't pay me, but I could go.
But you can go.
could work under these, you know, great, fantastic chefs. Awesome.
So you had all these opportunities, all these fantastic chefs, all these internships at your disposal.
Yeah.
Tell me about the transition of what made you different from everybody else that was trying to do what you were doing. What separated you from the pack?
That might be a good way to put it. But one of my funny stories. So yeah, you know, and it's ambition too. It's ambition and age. Like I was at a young age where I could do, you know, maybe two stages every day all week long. You know, I could be in a different kitchen.
Energy.
It was just, the energy was there. The wow factor was there.
Yeah.
All that, and in the community, realizing that all the chefs every night go out for drinks, and we go out to drinks. We're at like Blue Ribbon, you know, down in the village, and it's just like this.
Is that a rite of passage? Is that like a normal thing?
Well, then a lot of things have changed since then. A lot of the world's changed big time, but certainly, yeah. And nobody was unapproachable, you know, and that was the coolest part about it. I mean, we were hanging out with the Ciprianis, like they were just after work because everybody would just. You know, after
no cameras, no phones.
No, none of that. But you could get a reservation anywhere. You know, I might only make $12 an hour, but I can get a reservation at any restaurant in New York, and that it was a great community.
You're in the social pipeline at this time.
It was a social pipeline. It was a super community, and what separates me, I think, is at that moment not just being young and not just being so excited to be at work every day, was also you know, I was ambitious, and I knew that. Maybe I was undeserving, and so I thought that way anyways.
Why?
You know? Well, a lot of the guys I was with came from Italy, you know, came from France. You know, they had been doing it at such a higher level. You know, I referred to dishes like manicotti and roquette or whatever, you know, and I was very New Jersey, and I would just come off and I didn't realize that just me existing offended a lot of people. You know, in the kitchen, you know. Well, there was their whole lives to become a French chef in Paris. Like they've taken abuses that I've probably never seen, you know.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but the funny thing was, so let me start off really quick with my little stupid story. So the part of the ambitious part I was telling you about. So when I'm taking a tour of French Culinary Institute. So I wasn't sure if I was going to go there or somewhere else, but and I see an internship. I see two internships. So one of them is for Po, which is Mario Batali's first restaurant.
Mario Batali, yeah.
Now, Mario Batali, he was
you
well
worked
known.
under him too, right?
Yeah. Well, this is where. So I wanted to do an internship. Now we didn't have internships in our school, so if we did them, it would just be like us going to do an internship on our own. Anyway, so I ripped down every sign, and it was just me and another guy who showed up. So that was the ambitious part, and that's where I realized that there's so many people that want to work at these places, even if it's for free, that. The strongest will survive, you know, basically. The guy who gets there earlier and stays later.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be a little sabotage sometimes. You know, I've been sabotaged as well.
It comes with the territory.
It came with the territory for sure. It was a different ballgame. But yeah.
So you have this relentless drive to just succeed, right?
Yeah.
And
to do better at this. And I could see myself getting better. I could feel my hands like cutting faster and my sauces becoming better. And I was just like, I can do this. And a lot of people fall in love with this industry because it's all about, as you said, putting in the hours. You don't have to have a degree in it. You know, it can be learned. It can be taught. You can be good.
So what was that defining moment where you went from imposter syndrome, I don't belong here, I'm from Jersey, I'm not pronouncing these words right, to I've arrived? What was your I arrived moment?
Ooh. That took a while. So when I left, all right. So when I went to after Mario, I went to the French consulate.
Okay.
So they paid me $200 a week, but I got to live on French soil in New York, in Manhattan.
That's freaking awesome.
The chef that I worked for is this guy Luc Pasquet. It was awesome. This guy's Luc Pasquet. I didn't realize that he was a master chef. Actually, I didn't even realize what a master chef was, to be honest with you. And so I would just work for him. He was so kind. He was very patient with me. We would be doing big red carpet events. So I'd be making hors d'oeuvres mostly or whatever he trusted me on. But a lot of those hors d'oeuvres I still do to this day because they were just so cool and just so great and just old technique. But But with that said, when I went out after that, I went to the four-star restaurants at the time. I think it was Le Cirque, Danielle, Jean-Georges, Le Bernardin, and L'Espinasse, so maybe 5.
Okay, so 5.
So yeah,
4-star restaurants.
4-star restaurants. I mean, our whole life revolved around the New York Times, you know. So I mean, that's the whole thing too.
That's the melting pot, New York. That's
yeah. Well, that's where our stars would come from, because a lot of places would review you, but the New York Times, even to this day, is really super important. On Wednesdays, you used to see 1 million New York Times in the garbage can.
Wow.
Because all of us in the restaurant business would grab the dining out section and throw the rest of the paper away. You know, every Wednesday, because we couldn't wait to get the reviews. A lot of times we'd wait up all night, you know, into the morning to get it. So the New York Times was certainly a very important part of everything. So with that said, so when I went around, I passed out my resume, which was like 3 line items, you know, and I get a call back from Le Cirque. And I remember how excited I was.
Yes,
the executive chef of Le Cirque calls me up, and he leaves me a message, because I wasn't home. Those were the days when you had an answering machine at home. And because my chef was Luc Pasquet, this master chef, all these doors open.
Start to open.
And I had no idea.
It's who you know.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's who you know. And to be a French master chef. So to go back to your question, when did I find out I arrived? Well, when I walked into Le Cirque for the first day, they reassured me I did not deserve to be there every day.
Why?
You know, once again, these kids had come from Paris or come from Milan.
Correct. Yeah. So
you know,
what's
they
this
had
Jersey
big
kid
names.
doing here?
What's this guy doing here? And the chef was so kind. It's Pierre Shidlin. He was very kind, and he just, you know, put me in a place where, you know, I had 2 sous chefs that worked above me and, you know, trained me and got me better and got me faster. I mean, they also reassured me every day that I didn't deserve to be there. But, you know,
how would they would just call you names, or like, what are you doing here? Pick up this garbage.
I mean, I don't want to bully Le Cirque, because it was everywhere at the time. But yeah, certainly it was burning. But like a little burn on your wrist.
So that's
your
what
mise en place and hiding it.
Taking your what and hiding it?
Mise en place.
What's that?
It's your prepped work.
Okay,
for the day.
Got it.
It's your arsenal of ingredients when you're ready to go. You know,
okay, gotcha.
Or they'll hide it, or they'll just throw it all in the garbage. You have
to
start
hazing.
over again. To a point where they want you to break and rebuild you, or break and leave. Because there's 10 chefs
less
right behind
competition.
you waiting for the job. Forget
exactly.
about it. People couldn't wait to work there.
Have you ever done that to somebody when you were in a better position?
I was I don't do anything I don't even yell anymore. You know, it's not worth it.
You were a
to me
yeller?
anymore. I was a yeller, especially to get my stars.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, gotcha.
And I was so young, and I didn't know any other way to teach. I work very well and learn very well in those environments, in those loud,
control
fast chaos. Yeah. Yelling, screaming, burn. It doesn't matter. Like, that's when I get quiet and focused.
Gotcha, man.
And I think a lot of people that are driven to our industry are like that.
A lot of passion and fire.
Yeah,
right.
Passion, fire. You know, when you're working at such organized places as Le Cirque, you understand the chef is the chef. He's the only one speaking. You have chef de parties at every station. That's like the right above line cook that's in charge of that station. You're looking at him. It's so organized. There's no room for
it's a well-oiled machine.
For self-expression or, hey, let me try to do it this way. Like, no, nobody's doing it. It's already been mapped out. It's already perfect in every single way, and I get to work there. But certainly you're also working while people are cursing you off and, you know, explaining to you how you're a piece of shit every day.
Wow, dude, I can't believe that it's so volatile, but yet the beauty that comes out of it are these amazing dishes.
Yeah.
It's like pressure bust pipes, but you can make a diamond. It's like, man, you guys are cranking out diamonds in this high pressurized crock pot of a kitchen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I do.
And man, that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of confidence. So I'm just enamored at how you were able to navigate all that to get to where you are today.
The survival rate isn't very high.
What's the percentage?
Well, think of it this way. There's only one chef in every kitchen. You know, no matter what the show to Bear says. You know, he calls everybody.
Yeah.
He calls the dishwasher chef. He calls this person chef. All these other people chef. That's not real. That's fantasy land. You know, one person's the chef. But yeah, so there's not that many executive chef opportunities, you know. So
wow, yeah. So when they show up, it's like, you know, survival of the, you know, dog eat dog world.
Dog eat dog world. You know, I remember one time I was in the walk-in. This one chef who's a very famous chef, and I'll keep his name out because, And we had these big, heavy Bonnet ovens, these beautiful, awesome, just insane ovens. I can't believe I got to work with these things as a kid. And I opened this heavy door to go pick out a rouget, which is this little tiny red fish. And he comes over, he goes, it's not ready. Boom, kicks the oven door open and melted the whole part of my forearm, melted the whole inside of my forearm. And I go upstairs and I put some ointment on it, and I'm like, you know what? And not because of the pain, just because of the intensity of the moment. So I go into the walk-in to cry, right? Just to
let it out.
I don't care. Yeah, just because. Well, I guess I was hiding because crying was happening. I didn't know. I was like, oh, let me get somewhere nobody can see me. And I go in there and I'm just like, I'm praying. I'm like, God, just let me get through this one night. I can do it. I just got to get through this night. I think I've smacked myself in the face, And then I look behind me and there's this other guy crying.
Stop. Wow.
And he's sitting on one of the kegs. It's like where we kept our stock.
Holy cow, it's the crying room.
And it kind of made me like, or decompression room maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even know. But and I was like, it gave me the courage to just go down, finish the night. And I did. And I had, because we were becoming union at the time, which really kind of set the tone for the next, 20 years.
Got it.
Things are a bit different now.
Gotcha.
And they were like, you should sue, you should do this, you should. And I just knew I'd be out of the French loop. Like I'd be out of those. I'd be ostracized. There's no way I could continue because on my days off, I'm already working at L'Espinasse. I'm already working at D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan had this cool bistro downtown, and I don't want to ruin all of that. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Da 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 da. And then on the way out, I see the same chef, and the chef goes, and I'm like, something like, all right, have a good night, it's heavy accent, or have a good night, didn't say sorry or anything like that. And then my buddies go, oh yeah, no, we're taking him out, it's his birthday. I forgot it was my birthday.
Holy cow.
I remember seeing the chefs, because I forgot it was my birthday at that time. I just
so
wanted
dialed
to survive.
Yeah, you wanted to survive.
Night, And I was at the part of Le Cirque where there was 2 rooms at Le Cirque, so I was an open kitchen. So the room I worked in was the VIP, and it was just, so you're also seeing so many celebrities every night, like the biggest of the biggest. And as a kid, I don't know if the word is starstruck, but it certainly made you remember how important what you're putting on the plate is. Like you're not just, you could really ruin a restaurant's reputation.
By doing something wrong or mixing something up.
If it's not up to that level.
Up to that level, yeah. It's all about the rapport with the restaurant. Wow, so you're soaked into this social pipeline in New York, working at the consulate, cutting your teeth, learning, understanding, experimenting, becoming a greater chef every day, right?
Yeah.
So now take me to the next level after that. What came after the consulate?
All right, well, cool. So that would be Le Cirque, right? So that was that. Yep. So we're there now. And so it was such an interesting time in New York City. Like one day, I have all these notes. I'd love to write some sort of a short book, just so it's like a snapshot of what was happening. It was
year.
It was so we're at, let's say, 2000 and like January 2001.
2001. Well, this is right after 9/11.
Right before.
Oh, right before. I'm sorry. Yeah, September.
Right before.
Got it.
And then it's William Grimes, this critic, comes from New York City, from California. Shakes all this stuff up, starts taking stars away from people.
What?
He wanted to make do that? He wanted to make it. Well, New York Times hired him. So, but he was like, I think he used to be a car person, review cars. He came in, took a star away from Le Cirque, and that was like his big thing because Le Cirque had been 4 stars for who knows, since the 80s, and he took it away. And I don't know, because Le Cirque is my family. To this day, I consider myself a Le Cirque chef. It's just such a great, Mr. Macchione was just such an awesome boss, and the family. But so this is the time. This is the place in New York where it's like really sick. So you had these major things. We explained about William Grimes, the reviewer, comes in, starts shaking things up, starts saying like, well, maybe a pizzeria can be 4 stars or whatever. I mean, none of that could really happen. But he was shaking it up. At that time, there was still no Italian 4-star restaurant. I think the first one was actually one of Mario Batali's places. Anyways, long story short with that, you had 9/11, and you had Anthony Bourdain. Those 3 things shook New York to the New York culinary world, right? At its core. Obviously, 9/11 shook the world to its core, but certainly, the William Grimes saying no, being a big shot place doesn't necessarily give you 4 stars. I have new criteria. Then you had Anthony Bourdain coming out and explaining to everybody what the seedy side of our industry is.
He was giving the secrets out.
He was giving our secrets out. Yeah, exactly. And we were like, we hated him. I mean, hated him. Now he's revered, and certainly I revere him as well. But I mean, it was like, how dare, why? My mom doesn't need to know that there's heroin in the kitchen. My mom doesn't need to know that there's people are burning each other. And my mom, you know, I'm
the dark side of the restaurant.
Yeah, we're just those, whatever, good looking with the white chef jacket. You know, that's our role, is to be that person,
right?
Not to have any story behind us to take away from the food, right?
Right.
So it took us a long time to understand the impact of what his book was going to be. Yeah,
man.
And then of course 9/11 was like the final kick to the pants, of everything. We lost so many restaurants as well, in New York at that time. I think Lattes had closed, Russian Tea Room closed, but they close and open all the time. They used to do that anyways. But Le Cirque, we ended up closing Le Cirque 2000. It ended up reopening in, I think, the Time Warner building. Les Minas ended up closing.
So all this after 9/11.
Yeah.
This was the impact.
9/11, but also William Grimes and for sure Anthony Bourdain.
Wow.
A lot of things were, there was like the food's unknown, right? So you got to or whatever the name of the shows were. So people were like venturing, well, let's go to a really, instead of like a really fancy restaurant, let's go to a real interesting restaurant.
Yeah, let's go to like a little truck stop.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That was the beginning of the food influencer, esque, model, where you came from a more old school, traditional, this is how we do things. Now you got, which to this, it kind of like, it upsets, I don't want to say upsets me, but I even question, I'm not in the culinary arts world, but I'm like, who gives this food blogger influencer the right to go to someone's restaurant and just say it's crap and you never spent any time in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Does that grind your gears?
Yeah.
Being a chef?
That's been we're all kind of getting used to it now.
No, but they're like popping up like zits.
Yelp Yelp was a big one, the personal ones. I know you're speaking about bloggers.
Yeah.
But,
but Yelp too, because it's just people that just go to a restaurant, they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and they give you a bad review.
It's a new world for sure.
Yeah.
And so after those three things that I talked about, they also you had the Jersey when the Sopranos were done.
Oh,
that was also an impact. That was a lot of red sauce, like barely making it. Places had to close. They couldn't make it. Yeah, people really, I mean, I guess the shiny suit store also probably had to close too, right? Like,
everything was changing.
Everything was changing from the way people dressed, the way people hung out, the way people did everything. So that was a big impact. And then 2008, the economy
the
changes.
bubble bursted. Yep.
Then you have like the bandana tattoo chefs opening like burger truck places or whatever.
Truck joint,
the food trucks or whatever. And that became like, I can be a chef too. I just need tattoos and a bandana and make chili cheese dogs all day. And
it was like that movie Chef. Remember talking about the movie Chef?
It was, but even he always wore a white chef jacket.
So
like
was he true to that as a chef? Like you being a chef and watching that movie, do you feel like he kept true to the art of what you do?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure. And even his relationship with the critic and the owner.
Yeah, he hated that critic.
It worked out really well. He had to do his homework, obviously, because the guy did it. Even when he talked about his tacos or whatever he was making, it was like, oh yeah, that's a chef.
Gotcha,
chefs, when we talk to each other, we constantly, like, within the first 3 sentences, we know if we're real chefs or not.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. All right, so then that's a good thing that they did with. Okay, good, because I know. Go ahead.
No, what was that? Was it Burnt? Was it called Burnt?
Burned, with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. Also
really spot on. Is there anything you saw that was embarrassing to you as a chef, like a movie or anything that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but I think everybody kind of knows it's like silly.
Everyone knows it's just like
when you see a chef with that. What Monica on Friends used to drive me nuts.
Oh,
that was like the worst. I'm like, and you see her pick up a knife, you're like, no, you're gonna cut yourself. You're gonna hurt somebody. That was probably my worst.
Oh man. So we're talking about changing of the guards here. Post 2001, post 9/11. Now we're up to 2008 with the bubble that burst, with the housing market. So at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, you actually went back to Shakamaksin.
Yeah, so
to where it all started.
I did end up going back to Shakamaksin. That was a little bit later on. That was 2017.
2017. Okay, so before we get to Shakamaksin, what was that middle ground like between 2008 and 2000?
So this is a great period of my life. So I ended up, after Les Minas, I got my first management role. So chef de cuisine of a restaurant called Gustavinos. So it's right underneath the Queensboro Bridge.
Oh, nice.
And actually the pillars of the bridge go through the restaurant.
Oh, really?
And they had, and the executive chef was Daniel Orr.
Okay.
He was from the Grenouille, and he had just got in.
Vinos.
Yeah, he had GUA, I think. And they had it's named after the guy who built the bridge.
Okay.
And they had just gotten 3 stars right at the Grenouille, and it was just an awesome restaurant. I couldn't wait to work for Daniel Orr. I still talk to him, great chef. Anyways, so I was there, and I get a call. I mean, it was awesome. I felt like I was 19. I felt like, or maybe I was 20. I was like the king of the world in my mind, right? If the kitchens were all Bonet ovens, but there was 2 levels. We were doing red carpet event. It was the time of like Once Upon a Time in Mexico. We did their party. And Johnny Depp's band's playing. You got Cheech smoking cigars with Geraldo, like whatever. It was just cool. I was like, this is so cool. And I'm cooking the best food that I want to cook under this great
Everyone's
chef.
happy. You're making the food. It's all, gotcha.
So I get a phone call. And who is it? It's my chef, John Rella. So it's the chef from Plainfield.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
sent me
the
to
guy
New
that
York.
gave you your first. Yeah.
He's like, okay, all right, now you're done training. Now I need you. And I'm like, really? All right, that's great, chef. But I'm really happy. I got this great job. I'm dating the captain, who ends up being my wife later on.
Nice.
So I'm at the top of my
crushing
it, feeling great. And he was the executive chef of the Union Club, and he was like, well, it's time. But if you come with me, I'll make you a chef in a year.
Wow.
So I ended up becoming so I went with him. We did the Union Club, which is awesome. It's like a billionaires club in New York. It's just one of those sick old buildings. It's great. And and he gave me all the tools to become an executive chef. And that's why a chef has to get, I had to get better every year, of course, but the basics. So, vendor relations, for example, projecting budgets, projecting labor,
That's the part that kind of stuck out to me when I was doing my research about you, because again, I'm a novice. I don't know anything about this world. I just like to eat everything.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, because my thing is big on numbers, like I didn't know there was so much pressure on executive chefs to handle the financial burden of keeping costs low versus. How did that? How was that for you?
Pretty sure the way I explain it to people when they do, I say that's the executive part.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Control, watching the boss's money, watching the business's money, watching the club's money, wherever you're at, managing that, and most of our salaries are based on that. So, for example, it's like this is your base, but labor costs and food costs. Those are your 2 major ones. And then if you're at a club or a hotel, it could be customer satisfaction, or it could be going above and beyond, blah, blah. But really, that's how they keep you. Because if you're if you're just buying ingredients and there's heavy waste, heavy theft, you're not watching things, you can't make any money. And the margin in our industry is so low.
Yeah. So,
it's so tiny to make, if you're running a fantastic, beautiful, amazing place, we're not talking about pizzerias and stuff like that.
Right.
You're running a 20%, and that's like you're running the best, tightest restaurant
that's
on
the margin,
planet.
huh?
That's the highest. Wow. I'm not saying, once again, pizzerias you can run,
And a lot of these places are high end too. I was at a restaurant this weekend. It was like $250 for caviar. Yeah. So what's the profit on that? Like $20?
Well, that's how food costs work. So the first job I got, so we can go right back to food costs, it was called Aqua Ristorante.
Aqua Ristorante, yep.
So we turned Aqua into Char Steakhouse.
Get out of here.
That same location, and now they're opening the 3rd Char in Scotch Plains. So the second one's Red Bank. Then they did Char Burger and Creamery.
Raritan.
That's the first one.
Yep, that's the first one.
That was like my baby,
Nice, man.
It was, I'm still close with the family. Just anything they need, I show up. They're just great people. And they're opening they're the 3rd one in Scotch Plains.
Scotch Plains.
Yeah. So with that said, so we go from opening, and that's, I got my stars at Aqua, from the New York Times, and from 3.5 out of 4 in both.
3.5 out of 4. Oh,
in
wow.
Jersey, they give you half stars. In New York, they don't. But I'll take it.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe to separate it. Maybe to make sure that we know that we're not.
You're basically
they're giving us
they're
giving us a little curve, because we're in New Jersey. But no, actually, very few restaurants have ever gotten 4 stars in New Jersey.
Really?
I think Nicholas and what was it, the Pluck 'em in, I think.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. But anyways, there was very few. So 3.5, I was just like, all right, it's terrific. But anyways, we turned to a steakhouse. To go back to your point about the food cost. So instead of when you're at a normal restaurant to get to your 30% food cost, nowadays it's higher, but 30%, you just basically, every time you bring in a shrimp, let's say a shrimp costs $1, times it by 3, it's $3, you put 4 on a plate, blah, blah, blah.
I got it.
There's your $12.
There's your
$12.
$12. I see now. Okay.
And that's how you run that's like a 20-something food cost.
And then you got to also incorporate, I don't like how this tastes. Garbage.
Waste is always
yeah.
something, you know. Hopefully you don't get a lot of that, you know,
What is-
or you're fired.
What was your average waste cost?
You try to keep waste under 1%.
Under 1%. Okay.
You know, if you can, you know, we're not infallible in the business. It's important to monitor your any waste. You know, keep a list. You know, we lost 2 steaks tonight. You know, one got overcooked, or one the lady left, or whatever it might be. But to keep a record of it, because you know your steaks are. You know, ribeye right now, really nice, like cowboy. You know, 20-ounce cowboy. You're talking
$80?
about. Well, for me, my cost is $29.99, like $30 a pound.
And then times 3.
So like if it cost me like $38, $37, the steak,
right?
But you know, so I can't times it by 4. It's impossible.
Gotcha.
So this is where we came up with the model of I didn't come up with it. The world did, of sides for your a la carte steaks. So you can run. So yeah. So and you know, 50% food cost, even if you're like, I'm never going to hit my numbers. Well, come up with, you know, I always say, like, we talk about when I do my cooking classes and I teach, I say like, what is Outback? You know, and you're always going to get the first people are always going to be, you know, a steakhouse. I'm like, well, yes, it is. But what do they sell? And they're like, well, steak. And I said, well, all right, not really. So what's the business that they're in? What's the business Outback's in? And the second one, somebody always say alcohol. They sell the booze. Really, they sell onions. They're in the onion business. They get a 10-cent onion, a 5-cent onion, a 1-cent onion, because they own onion farms. So whatever, their onions cost like nothing. And
that's why they push the bloomin' onion.
And it's great. Everybody gets one.
Wow.
You're getting something with it's incredible food cost that straightens every other item out.
Look at that.
As long as you're buying, and that's where you can, you know, I don't know how it is now. I haven't been in many years, but years ago, they used to have a decent steak.
Gotcha.
You know, because they didn't have to make a huge food cost on their steak because they're killing it with the.
So every restaurant needs a Shining Star product.
Find your blooming onion.
Find your blooming onion. I like that, man.
You know, and like right now, one of my blooming onions is the escargot tortelloni.
Yes, we were talking about that off camera.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, or frog legs. It's the labor you put into it, because a lot of people don't know how to work with these products, and or do them in an interesting way. And once you do that, now it doesn't cost a lot of money, so you can run a nice food cost on it, and they're happy to pay for it because they can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah, you're creating exclusivity and you're creating a demand. Obviously, it tastes delicious. So exclusivity, demand, profits go up. And then they're going to buy everything else in the restaurant. So, I mean, I know I'm going fast here, but I want to get to 87 Sussex because that's where you're currently at now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that. Give me let's go back. We're going to finish with 87 Sussex, but we were at the Shack and Maxim point, right?
Okay. So Shack.
Yeah, Shack and Maxim. Yeah. So tell me that journey.
So Shack and Maxim. Oh, so yeah. So Shack and Maxim was great. I ended up getting back there, I think 2017.
Yes, that's when we got.
So talk about a full circle, right? I was a dishwasher there as a kid.
How was that feeling?
It was awesome. Made me feel like $1 million. I grew up around the corner from Shack.
That's so
now
cool,
I live in
man.
Fanwood, you know, inside Scotch Plains, so it's like really close. And I knew a lot of the members because I did a lot of catering in town. I was pretty well known. I ran for councilman 3 years, so I knew a lot of people anyways. And cooking for people I know personally is one of my, you know, my loves of life, you know, showing them what I don't know. It's, I guess, part of the hospitality.
And that's also, like I said, a full circle moment where you're not just doing it for random strangers, you're doing it for people that you know. Oh, yeah. So not that you don't have the passion you do, but now it's even more.
Oh, yeah.
But I got to show out.
Yeah, and I'm doing their bat mitzvahs, and I'm doing their graduations. I'm doing their birthdays all the way until they move out of their family's home or whatever. You're doing the all the the Rotaries, but also the police department does all their outings. Like everybody, and once again, we're in a generational town, so it's like you went to high school with everybody too. So it was really awesome experience.
So cool,
really great. We took it to the level, had the highest level we could. You know, to keep it where it's still approachable. It's still a club. It's still got to concentrate on hot dogs and hamburgers, but make sure they're still the best hot dogs and they're Pat LaFrida burgers. And
I see what you're saying. So you elevated the food experience.
Oh, 100%.
That's it. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. You have to wherever you have to go in saying, okay, this is where it is. I have to take it somewhere else, or I wouldn't do it. Like, you know, what's the excitement? What's the passion?
I need a new wall to take down. Tear it down. You know? And that's like that's your go-to when you go to a new place. It's like, I gotta tear this wall down. I gotta make it better. Let me find out what, back when I used to work in corporate, my go-to line to my boss was, take me where the opportunity is. I don't want to go to the store that's already running safe and sound.
Yeah.
Take me to where the damage is, where the disaster is, and I'm going to show you in 6 to 8 months I can make it way better. Are you kind of the same way?
I like that, though. I like that's well said. I would have been like, yeah, that's a great, take me.
Take me to the opportunity,
take
man.
me to the opportunity.
Because, it pushes you to be better.
Yeah.
You teach and train people below under you, going back to the role of chef where you want to create more people, more chefs, more, roles. And you're also evolving as a person. Yeah. Besides the business, besides cooking evolving as a person. Because honestly, you can be the greatest chef in the world, but if you're not just a great person or you're not evolving and learning as you're going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We're being complacent. We're dead.
Yep.
So getting back to the Shack and Max and with everything you laid there in the blueprint, you even did like something for the Jets.
Yeah, that was at Hamilton Farm. Hamilton Farm.
That was after or before?
That was before.
Okay, that was before. So
that was before. Yeah, so we were the official club for the Jets at that time.
Pretty cool.
And yeah,
pretty
it was so
awesome, man.
It was so cool.
I mean, you must have met a bunch of celebrities.
Yeah.
Holy
cow, over
man.
the course of my career, it's been really cool.
Your office at your house must have like a bunch of pictures with presidents and.
I think besides with chefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely did the White House thing, but like with chefs are mostly my pictures. But I also have like Ray Liotta. Like that's one of the ones I like.
Awesome, man. Is that one of the top people that on your bucket list of who you wanted to meet?
On mine, yeah. It was just
He's a Jersey
the coolest.
boy.
Yeah, I think the coolest probably. Yeah, So we've done the Michael Jackson and all these other wild celebrities, but what a cool guy. He comes in the kitchen, hangs out with us for a while.
That's pretty cool.
We had some cocktails.
Man.
It was good stuff.
Nice. And I like how you brushed over the White House thing. What's going on there?
Well, we did some work with the White House chefs.
Okay.
We did a bunch of stuff with them at the Union Club and just in New York in general, and it was. They're great. They're great. But I think they've turned over now, but they do a whole thing where they travel the country too. They'd be wonderful to talk to one day if you really want to.
You can make that happen.
Their stories. He's got Nancy Reagan stories. Wow. Just really, really fun stuff. It'll fill up a great podcast for sure.
We can definitely talk about that later for sure. Oh my God,
they're great guys.
So you went from all this, and now I'm going up to pandemic time with Carmine's.
Yeah.
How big of a challenge was that, dealing with the whole pandemic and the shutdown, and you're in charge of this restaurant? Tell me the ebbs and flows of that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it never gets boring, at all. And although I understand everybody went through some worse than others, the horrible, this thing, the pandemic was just rough for everybody.
It was bad,
and the politics involved with it, and
you got to eat outside, but you have to wear a mask. But then you're outside.
I was at Shack and Max during the pandemic, and Murphy had actually allowed clubs to open when he opened the parks.
Oh, it's okay.
So everything else is shut down.
But you could
be at the country club.
You could be at the country club.
If a private club or whatever. And I guess it was to get people outside and all that other stuff. But for us, it was like, okay. So you kind of have to you want to abide by all the rules. Certainly, because you don't know who's going to check. Nobody ever checked, right? But we all thought that somebody was going to, come in and check. So you do your thermometer test. You have to have stations everywhere in the building. Hand washing this, sanitizing that, and there's this large thing you have to do. But you get to be open. You can't have people in the clubhouse, so we set up tents outside. You put circles 6 feet apart.
I remember those days. Oh my God!
Yeah, we paint circles. We did a prom. We did Cranford's prom.
Are you kidding me?
So we had this. The kids were 6. We had dots. You could dance 6 feet apart. But none of the kids listened. But I felt like I did my job. At the end. Yeah,
we
did our job.
You did what you had to do.
We gave them the parameters of where they're supposed to be. But kids are kids, anyways. But and but the clubhouse was pretty cool because we turned it into like a Nerf fortress.
Oh, nice.
So that was kind of fun. Keep morale up. Keep
morale up. Yeah, it was a rough time.
It was a rough time. So with that said, I had reopened Shack and Max during
during the pandemic,
for the back of the house for BOH, and then they did the front, and then we opened the pool and things were going great. So New York was not open yet, so that's where, and I'd gotten a few calls from Carmine's asking if we were just kind of talking about I think we were looking for a regional executive chef at the time, and then the pandemic happened. Long story short, I had reopened Shack and I had reopened another club, Knickerbocker.
Okay.
I was there for a very short period of time.
Man of town, man.
Well, it was just weird. I had to have this unique experience to reopen places after COVID. Wow. You know, and not just to mention the chef aspect of it as well. And I have a very high tolerance for bullshit. Like nothing's really gonna daunt me when it comes to I've seen a lot. So anyway, so I decided that's a great idea. I talked to my wife. I'm like, going to Carmine's, it's not what I trained to do food wise, but what kind of excitement and joy could I find out of this? I already did my stretch in New York. I was already at these awesome
You're
restaurants.
on your stripes.
Yeah, like what would this do for my resume is pretty much what's in my mind.
Gotcha.
Now, doing some more homework on it, I realized that it's the #1 grossing restaurant in America. So yeah, and I'm like, not group, but that one Times Square location.
Oh wow, okay.
And I'm like, this could be my challenge because I really do enjoy the numbers. I do enjoy the projected numbers. I do enjoy
and you want to beat them.
Coming up with those business models.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it gets me excited.
And theirs is just wild.
Right.
88 cooks and now you're herding cats because you're bringing people back from COVID, and it's like, they have to reapply and then who's legal, who's illegal, or who's got paperwork, who doesn't have paperwork, and then you got to have all these people make sure that they do their medical sign in every day. They got to check their temperature every day.
Gosh, the rigmarole.
Yeah, and it was and then you're talking about doing on a slow day 2,500 covers.
Jeez.
But that's when I focus, and that's when I really zoom in to
control chaos.
I'm in my the happiest is when things are going as planned, but at any moment
the other shoe could fall off. Yeah,
yep, bingo.
So when the smoke cleared at Carmine's and you moved on, what kind of footprint did you leave there? What did you change about the system or change about the ecosystem of the
Carmine's is such a institution. It's loved by so many, thousands of people. It's certainly an iconic restaurant in New York City.
Yeah.
It's hard to say Brian Walter left any impact on them.
But it is.
But
Brian
did I
Walter.
feel like I did a great job? Yeah, I did a great job. Was it a new challenge for me? I think, yeah. It wasn't because I just am so great. It's because I worked really hard to get better at it every day.
Absolutely.
We'd have our, I'd have my graphs out and all the stuff for our meetings, and it was just a new corporate world for me to accomplish in my own
Another
mind.
notch on the belt.
Another notch on the belt. Now I can go somewhere else. Well, yeah, I also did because finances are really important. Yeah. It's one thing to manage to be an executive chef, manage the food, manage morale.
You got to add and subtract.
You got to get the money. Yeah, you got to show the boss the money.
It's got to be profitable. Absolutely.
Man,
so all these, and again, I told you in the beginning, I'm a novice in this world, but I feel that you've given me such a great crash course on what it is to be an executive chef, but all the intricate inside information that we don't know about, that we're just enjoying the food, becoming an accountant basically for the restaurant, being a leader for everybody in that kitchen that you're responsible for, managing expectations, beating expectations, but also kind of putting together new plans to formulate a better kind of like world in the back room, right? In the BOH, as you guys say, right? So you are just like handling like so many plates, so to speak, as you're walking, you know what I mean? So it just shows me testament of who you are as a person, because not an easy task. I mean, there's certain people that, you control what you can control, and there's people that just focus on one thing. You are in control of so many things, and one thing falls, the rest does. So how did all this experience that you've learned over the years helped you now currently at 87 Sussex?
Okay. Yeah.
That's my last question on that. How did you take all these years, 20 years plus experience, and just put it together at this new location you're at, and how are you making 87 Sussex your most beautiful project yet?
All right. Well, and thank you for asking, because 87 Sussex is my baby at this moment of time.
Gotcha.
Like, I always have one project that is always like in my heart, and for different reasons. And for this one, it's so incredibly beautiful, the restaurant. The food is my food. So when I've opened a steakhouse, there's some things in a steakhouse have to be a steakhouse.
you have to be yeah, exactly.
You know? Or I had owned 2 Irish pubs, O'Brien's, Poorhouse O'Brien's on the Green. We had awesome shepherd's pie. We had awesome this. We had awesome that.
But it was
awesome
there
fish
already.
and chips. But well, it's my recipe, but it was in what I trained for all those years.
Got
you
it.
know,
Got
it wasn't like, once again, like I'll do traditional French items, but with my own creativity or my own shtick to it.
Gotcha.
Like the frog legs, I call them hoppin' poppers. You know, so
cool,
I shave it down so it looks like a little chicken wing. Yeah, and they look cool and they're approachable. Because you also want to. One of the challenges that we're dealing with right now is the new generation. Right, so we're trying to come up with ideas of they're looking for the new multiple generations that they're looking for an experience.
They want to take a picture.
They want to take a picture.
Yeah.
They're looking for more an experience, and not because and really because that's all they know going in. Meaning they can't tell you the best wines we have because they don't know anything about wine.
Yeah, they just
or they don't know. Yeah, they can't tell you about these awesome ingredients because it's all new to them. So if you can take those traditional classic French ingredients or whatever cuisine you're doing and kind of make it a little new or a little bit fresh for them or approachable, they'll start trying it. That's why caviar's killing it right now. That's why everywhere you have
Everyone
caviar.
wants to do a bump of caviar. Yeah, everywhere they go.
Now, because it's a bump. You see what I'm saying?
It's a bump.
They're
Yeah,
giving them an
make it drug related.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. It's yeah.
They want the sensory experience.
Yeah.
They
It's
want
like
everything.
They go to the speakeasies. It's like, you guys know it's not a real speakeasy.
Yeah,
right?
it's not.
Like,
Yeah, it's.
yeah. I don't know. Are we playing pretend? I guess. I don't know.
It's
But
so ironic though, right? Like
bizarre.
everything
It's
that
bizarre.
was kind of like inclusive and quiet now is like out there.
it has to be like this
it
wacky
has-
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like let's get back to the food.
Yeah.
What tastes good, what doesn't taste good.
And I think it is circling back.
You think that's coming back around now.
Yes.
And is 87 Sussex the baby to show that, to drive that into the
Certainly
next
for
generation?
Jersey City. Certainly for Jersey City. And I have an owner, a boss, who is just awesome. Like he believes in it. He's willing to absorb the beginning, you know, not being very busy, not being, you know, because there are some things that people are not necessarily used to. But when people realize you can go down the street and have a really beautiful, simple duck orange, you know, and you can have still a brilliant steak.
Gotcha.
But, you know, I'm doing like stuffed quail with, you know, stuff with fig and foie gras farce.
Wow.
We're doing ox and egg is one of my quail egg ravioli over oxtail. It's just,
God, it sounds so freaking good, man.
and I'm loving it. Like I look
Dude,
at it.
so
it's
you're like
not-
a kid in a candy store.
Kid in a
You
candy
are just
store.
creating
whatever tools I want, whatever toys I want. Like the owner's just been so cool, and it's just
That's
been
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Is this the first time in your career that you're able to just have free range to do whatever you want?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, because I wouldn't want to have done that at the other restaurants that we opened. So let's say, for example, if me and the owner decide to open another restaurant, a tavern, I'm not going to do this food there. You know, we'll make it just the best of that.
Just the best of that.
Of
but,
that.
But this is like
This is
one of
showcasing
one.
my food, my journey. Every dish that I put out or I have on the menu, it takes me a long time to write it because we switch it seasonally. It tells a story from where I've been, and while I'm making it, I'm seeing that story in my head while I'm plating it. Yeah, and it's really cool experience for me. I look forward to going to work every day.
That's so cool.
It's really
man.
cool.
That's a real passion.
Yeah,
that-
just like teaching new cooks how to butcher rabbits, where it's just like to make a beautiful cacciatore,
Wow.
you know, just simple, beautiful, you know, and that would have been probably from Mario Batali when I was in my teens, you know.
So this is this venture now with 87 Sussex. It's kind of like your, I don't want to say swan song because you're nowhere near done.
Yeah.
But it is almost like an homage to
100%.
to your life's work.
Yes, 100%. Or to the chefs that, you know,
That
once
have
again, it's
trained
part of
and
the
taught
brigade.
you.
Yeah, it's never really about me, like, you know, ever. If anybody's hard on themselves about their food, I'm more hard on that because I'm like, is that the way it should have been? Would that have made this chef in my mind happy?
Gotcha.
Or, you know, or whoever that person was in my journey. But and I feel blessed to be able to cook it. You know, feeling like a lucky chef is the best feeling. You know, you know, you're not, when you're being made to do something that you don't want to serve. That really sucks. It eats away at your soul.
It does, man, because you're doing something, but your heart's not in it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just becoming you're like an autonomous robot. But
Yeah.
now you being there, creating the seasonal menus, kid in the candy store mentality, doing your life's work in actual food art. I mean, that's freaking awesome, man. I can't wait to go.
Yeah,
I want to try everything. Seriously, I would love to come in and try as much as I can. Like I'm excited. You got me excited, man.
Yeah.
Because like I said, novice, right? Me. I am just like the basic. I like to eat food, but I don't know the story behind. So you telling me this, wow, it makes me even almost like it's an emotional attachment to it.
Yes, 100%.
Wow. Like have you ever cried making a dish?
No. The crying thing ended when I was a kid.
After
yeah.
But the man, it's.
But I mean, I was in a lot of pain too. Like,
no, I can imagine.
Just to justify it.
But no, seriously, like what you're doing here now with 87 Sussex, it's amazing because you're telling a story with food, but it's your story.
It is my story.
It's not Carmine's. It's not, the Consulate. It's not Shackamaxon.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah.
And you're getting 1,000% who I am, not just as a person, but as an executive chef, an artist in my craft.
Yes.
Wow.
100%.
Dude,
It's well said.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I can't, and I'm so blessed to be able to do it. So you're never going to have a moment where, I mean, chefs have to have a little bit of it's just part of the job to have that swagger or that arrogance, because that you're not cooking just for you. You're cooking for all the chefs before you. That's the way I look at it. All the guys that have the first guy who, whatever, made a duck orange or they made a popiette or made whatever, or made a souffle, something like this. You're representing all of those guys when you're cooking. So it's really humbling.
It is very humbling,
but that's why we're always so stout, almost like, because it's not necessarily about us or me. It's about what we're protecting, this lineage. It's really, it's exciting. Once you get it, if you either get it or you don't get it.
Yeah, you either have the passion or you don't, but you can still, you can get, I mean, you don't have to be like, I love to eat the food, I'm not going to make it, but I respect it now after having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Like, anything that you don't understand until you actually do some research on it, anything I can Google now won't teach me what you just taught me.
Yeah.
Which I think that's amazing.
I'm happy to do.
No, it's just amazing.
You know what I mean? And so if you meet an actual chef, chances are he'll share that with you.
No, that's a beautiful thing. It kind of reminds me of, and I'm not a huge, I like wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. But it's very synonymous with the same kind of like unwritten rules they have.
Okay.
Like when a wrestler goes into a ring, they always wipe their feet on the apron. That is an homage and a thank you to the wrestlers before them.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I would never have known that.
Yeah. So it's very, you're telling me this about the chefs, and it's so synonymous with wrestling. The you getting burned by the chef on your arm. These guys making them carry their luggage and taking flips and bumps and getting hurt on purpose just to earn your chops. So it's very linear in a way how that is. And I always thought that it was just something in wrestling, but no, this is also in the chef world where it's a brotherhood and they're going to be hard on you, but the homage and the lineage you're working towards and working for, it means everything to you guys.
It means everything. So when people are like, oh, you got to work the holidays. Yeah, okay, but we know that going in.
Yeah.
And it's what we're doing is so important. Like we're cooking for all of your holidays. Isn't that like a special thing to do? Like I think it is.
That's freaking amazing.
It's not that womp I can't make it to Thanksgiving. Like everybody knows they're gonna make me a plate. Don't worry, it'll be there.
But you're living your life's dream, your life's art. Oh man, I'm so excited. I mean, we got to do this again soon because I feel like we need more than one session to get down to the nitty gritty.
It's going fast.
Oh yeah, it's going fast.
I feel like I just started.
I'm telling you, we're just hanging out, man.
Who doesn't like talking about themselves?
I usually do a segment called Mastermind Questions where I ask you a couple, just quick answers. So I'm going to go over that with you now. First thing that comes to your mind, just let me know. Okay. What book have you read that inspired you the most?
I mean, the Bible. I don't want to.
Is there a certain something in the Bible that sticks out to you every day that you carry with you every day?
Yeah. I mean, the Lord's Prayer, "Thy will be done," is always on my chain. It's I'm learning now. I'm going through the Old Testament a little bit right now, and just kind of regrouping on Abraham and Jacob and Isaac and all their kids and all Jacob's kids and Joseph and all them getting into trouble, and it makes it kind of real to you. You're like, okay, all right, they weren't that good. They weren't so I'm not so bad. But that's all. I mean, I'm a man of faith too. I'm a Christian, so you tell me that, and that again, it's like this is already. This is great.
This is a higher power that's working here. God's in the room.
God,
I love it, bro.
God is in the room.
Yes, sir.
You know, a lot of work to be done still.
Yes, sir. What person in your life, and you probably have already said this in our interview, what person in your life has brought you the most influence?
As a human being, my mother. As a chef, John Rella.
John Rella, the
For
one
sure.
that first started everything.
For sure. And he's still just one of these incredible under the radar chefs. You know, in New York, all the chefs know him, but he's under the radar. He always told me to stay under the radar. For me, I like show
You have to be
business a little bit. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, you got a little swag too. That's all good.
You know, so that maybe be one or two of the times I didn't listen to him. And if I did listen to him, I'd probably be doing, a lot, have a lot more money. But certainly, but it's been such a great journey. Yeah. And he started me off. So
is at the end when we go, I mean, you can make all the money in the world, but the journey is what matters, right?
That's it.
That's what you're gonna remember. You're not gonna remember how much money you make. You're gonna remember the journey you had.
Yeah.
You know, and all the experiences that came along with that.
100%. 100%.
Totally agree,
That's all
man.
you're gonna want to talk about. You know. Yeah.
What's the next level of success in your life look like?
Personal success as I'm getting. I'm 45, so it's not like I'm not over the hill, But
Still
as
young,
chefs
man.
go,
Come on.
yeah,
Still messing around.
You don't see a lot of those white haired chefs anymore. We
You're just
the
getting
world's
started,
changing.
brother.
I feel like I'm just getting
I
started.
like it. I like it.
And that passion would be, I have a real passion for teaching.
Okay.
And I still have kids that are in, they're gonna need me to keep going, obviously, with working and things like this. And I do want to work, and I want to open other restaurants, especially with the owner that I have now. I mean, he's awesome. We're looking at other projects,
Nice.
but this is the baby first, right?
This is the baby first.
This is the baby. We got Thanksgiving coming up. We have a lot of events coming up. We have to make sure this is perfect. But certainly, I have a lot to share. I have a lot to teach, and maybe in my retirement, that would be something really cool. One day to just be a dean somewhere or whatever, instructor. But yeah. Because I love working with the kids. I love showing them things that you've never, anybody, kids, students, whoever, but like showing them things that nobody's doing anymore, or literally it's almost like they don't exist. They're coming back, a lot of these ways of butchering, and, there's ways of cooking, but yeah.
But
classic.
education's important, man. And I come from a background of education. I went to school for teaching. So I share that with you, man. So
Great.
I think there's nothing more beautiful than seeing literally the change in a kid's eyes when you teach them something that they did. It's like they discovered fire.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it's like it's like exhilarating, because like, wow, I can impact change.
Yeah.
And if you ever ask anybody who was your biggest influence or who helped you, it's always a teacher. It's always somebody that taught you something you didn't know. So it's doing the Lord's work. It really is, man.
100%.
It's not for monetary gain for the most part. It's more for a personal soul gift that God has given you that you need to share with others.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's very important, man. So that's awesome.
Yeah, gotta share it. And once again, that's part of the brigade responsibilities. You
It
gotta
goes
share
right
what
back
you
to-
learned, because you've learned it from all of these other chefs before you.
Passing it down.
Yeah,
Passing it down, man.
It's an honor.
Last question for you, and I'll get you out of here, man. What's the last thing you purchased that changed your life?
Wow. I don't
This
know.
gets everybody. This always gets everybody.
Yeah. It changed my life.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess my house in 2008.
There you go.
I got one of the George Bush houses.
Hey.
Everybody getting in the house, and they had put down like 5%.
Oh my God.
It's
Remember,
awesome.
remember,
Yeah.
Well,
Still-
see, but
it's still what is it, 3.2 or something?
can't
My
beat
interest
that,
rate?
man.
Thank
Heck
you.
yeah. Well, that's something that changes lives. Hey, listen, I'm not
Yeah.
mad at you, brother. Nowadays with the interest rates, forget about it. You'll be lucky
forget.
to see 7.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man, Brian, it's been a pleasure to sit down with you, man, to hear your story. You're more than welcome to come back on whenever you like. I'm excited to head down to 87 Sussex and have a meal and get to know you more on a personal level. I know our time here is very constrained and tight, but many blessings to you on the rest of your journey.
Yeah.
I hope that you supersede any dream that you even envision for yourself. And I hope 87 Sussex is the baby of all babies and creation that gets you to wherever you want to go next, man.
Thank you.
I wholeheartedly mean that, man. And anything else that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up? Where can they find you?
Sure.
All that stuff.
Sure. All right. So there's a catering company that I have. It's called Catering by Bayberry. I do only very, home, like something at your home. I turn your home into a beautiful, big antipasto tables and all this awesome decor and great stuff like that. Weddings, baby showers, things like this. But I don't do very many. So I'm usually sold out for these. I like it. But certainly I'd like to hear if you'd ever want to. Yeah, pretty exclusive.
Absolutely. I like that.
Because I really am at 87 Sussex, a lot.
That's the focus.
That is the baby. But catering is also a passion of mine. And being a lot of the families that I have, they don't say like, well, let's call the caterer. It's like, let's call Brian.
Let's call Brian.
Brian's going to come. Man. He knows what we like. He's done, Susie Q's party and blah, blah, blah. But we also have Thanksgiving coming up. So if anybody's looking for a Thanksgiving package where I cook your Thanksgiving, and it's on the website at 87sussex.com, we're happy to do that. And it's I'm getting heritage turkeys in. It's the sides and everything is. Nice. It's the right deal. For the price, you're not going to get anything like it. We're going over and beyond because we just opened. We really want to introduce our food to the public.
Make the statement.
Make the statement like, wow, I can't believe we had Thanksgiving catered by such a caring chef, because that's really what I want to be known as. That guy that goes the extra mile for you and your family. So
puts the extra touch, man.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media, on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Bayberry Culinary Consultants is my catering company. Catering by Bayberry is my cateringbybayberry.com, and 87 Sussex is where that's my main office. That's where I'm at all the time. It's my menu, and I can't wait to cook for you.
Oh man, me and my wife are gonna be ecstatic, brother.
The red carpet's gonna be out of you as well.
No, seriously, my wife. Interestingly enough,
great date night. We're right by the water, so you get the whole view of Manhattan.
Listen, my wife's birthday is today.
Oh, happy birthday. What's her name?
Yvonne.
Happy birthday, Yvonne.
Yes, and she loves food just like me. So who knows? Maybe on Friday I might have to make a phone call, man.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
make sure you text me. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get all your information before you leave. And again, thank you for your passion. Thank you for your artistry. And thank you for what you have added to the world of culinary arts. I mean that, man. And best of luck to you on your journey, brother.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, Brian. Pleasure. That is a wrap on episode 26 of I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman podcast. If this podcast inspired or moved you to follow your dreams or aspirations, please subscribe to our Apple, Spotify, and YouTube platforms by typing in Luis Guzman, I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman, and clicking that subscribe button. Please make sure to follow my Instagram handle, I'm an Artist, Not a Salesman, for further content and updates. I am thankful for every listener, and I pray you have a blessed one, not a stressful one. Peace. All right.